Hello indie-game fans, August looks to be pretty stacked for releases, including the not-so-indie Sun Wukong Souls-like Black Myth Wukong, but there's plenty to love on the indie game front as well, beginning with I Am Your Beast, the next title from developer Strange Scaffold, who really does have one of the strangest catalogs out there, in which this is a fast-paced first-person shooter that really is all action all the time. You play as a secret agent on a mission of revenge, wielding all sorts of guns and weapons as you furiously take out your enemies, while also being able to climb into pipes to get the jump on them. You can even throw your weapon at the enemy to knock them down, and then steal their gun and shoot them, and was one of the standout demos of the most recent Steam Next Festival. I always love it when games spawn in thousands of units on screen, like in They Are Billions, with the next title to have this being WARCANA, one that has an interesting design in terms of game modes, having single player campaign, 30-player battle royale, and online horde mode survival. Oh, and did I mention that this is a deck builder RTS as well? Yes, it is that kind of weird mishmash of ideas that could just take off with a neat visual style as well and is so indie games. This video is brought to you by Frontier Hunter Erza's Wheel of Fortune, an anime-style Metroidvania with gorgeous visuals, 3-player characters which you can swap between, and an excellent combat system, releasing out of early access today on July 26th. The game has an interesting setting that mixes sci-fi and fantasy, mixing battleships and miniguns with mermaids and werewolves, as our heroine and her crew fight their way across the world. This is a true blue Metroidvania with an interconnected world and leans more on the Castlevania end of things, with RPG style progression, along with a cooking and crafting system, and even equipping monster cores into equipment for maximum customization. The anime style character designs and visuals are a highlight as well, with the variety of available weapons and skills adding to the intensity of combat as you swap between characters. The 1.0 release will clock in at approximately 35 hours of gameplay, which is a substantial amount, so if interested, pick it up via the link in the description below. I'm a fan of farming games like Stardew Valley, with the next title of interest being Fields of Mistria, one that has an adorable pixel art style mixed in with almost 80s anime-like cutscenes, at least in this trailer, to give it a very pleasant vibe overall. It has all the expected elements like farming, cooking, crafting, fishing, mining, raising animals, and NPC villagers to get to know and even romance, along with combat in the mines. So far, so standard. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know why this is one of the top 200 most wishlisted games on Steam, since farming games like this are a dime a dozen, although I do have to admit, it looks good and I'm a fan of the pixel art. But that cannot be all there is to this game, right? Still, I guess we'll have to find out when this releases in early access, which appears to be rather fleshed out based on the list of features they mention on the store page. It's Singapore's National Day in August, and releasing just one day before that would be Cat Quest 3 from Singaporean developer The Gentle Bros, who I'm always happy to give a shout out to. This is an action-adventure title with some light RPG elements in which you traverse the waters and islands of the Caribbean in search of treasure. Pirate-themed games are always fun, so you have elements like digging for treasure, and new in this installment, as compared to the other two releases, is ship control and naval combat. I always liked that you're able to fight enemies on the overworld map in this series, which makes a return, along with the adorable cats, so what's not to love? Along with the survival crafting game, another very popular genre in 2024 has been the multiplayer horror game, which takes the subject matter to varying levels of seriousness, from the goofy content warning and lethal company to the perhaps more serious Phasmophobia, with another one in the serious camp being Level 0 Extraction. Although if you're screwing around with friends, things do trend towards the more humorous end of things. However, the trick in this extraction shooter is that this is PvPvE, so there are rival mercenaries controlled by human players which you can fight, or you can also play as the aliens in hunting down all the humans, adding a level of tension to this game. It does appear to be more self-serious as well with the lore and the weaponry, with the extraction gameplay loop of venturing in to get resources and then having to find a way to get out safely being tried and tested, with this doing quite well during its open beta test as well. It goes without saying that Squirrel with a gun makes it on this list, in which you play as, well, a squirrel with a gun. But not just any gun, expanding to include Uzis, shotguns, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, and more. This is a sandbox simulation title in the vein of Goat Simulator, in which you are free to explore this seemingly normal suburban neighborhood, but the developers talk about escaping a secret underground facility, which begs the question, why does this town seem to be so empty? Still, this game went viral when it was shown off for good reasons, since the concept is simply intriguing, so let's see if there's enough meat around the bones of the concept and how much there is to this game. Another immensely popular title is Mika and the Witch's Mountain, a flight exploration game in which you play as an aspiring witch who has to deliver packages to the townspeople while flying around on your broom. The developer has cited the Studio Ghibli classic Kiki's Delivery Service as inspiration, but have put their own spin on things in terms of art style. Our heroine's ultimate goal is to get to the top of the mountain, having to work hard to make her magic broom good enough to last the trip. Although I'm not sure how compelling the concept of delivering packages can be, since this might get repetitive over time. However, the sensation and freedom of flight is the other component to it, as well as the personalities of the NPCs, so let's see how it all fits together. The concept was appealing enough that its Kickstarter raised 1.3 million euros, so the developer should be good, so let's hope they live up to the promise of this game. Another title that was immediately appealing to me is Castaway, an action-adventure game that looks very Zelda-like in nature, although I do want to take the opportunity to set things straight, since the developer has stated that this is a bite-sized adventure and does only have 3 dungeons, so it might not be that expensive, multi-hour Zelda-style game that you might be expecting. Still, it looks awesome, with fun combat and interesting gadgets, with the so-called endgame here being a 50-story death tower, which gets progressively more difficult the higher you climb, and does look like my kind of game. I mentioned in my video on the best upcoming games for the second half of 2024 that Core Keeper will be worth keeping an eye on, since this will be releasing out of early access and onto consoles at the same time, and might just be the next big thing. This is a mining sandbox crafting title with combat, which can be thought of as top-down Terraria, in which you are going out to gather resources and fight monsters, only to bring them back to your base to craft new items to upgrade and expand the base, with boss fights and even co-op support. Right out of the gate when it launched in early access in 2022, there was already something special to this game, and as of recording, it has an astounding 25,500 Steam reviews, which means a lot of copies sold, so the 1.0 launch plus console release will probably launch this game into the stratosphere and might be one of the best games of the year, where I can easily see this being supported like Terraria post 1.0.
In a world where the top special forces operatives are all just wizards for some reason, one team is unstoppable. Not yours, hers.
I absolutely love this trailer for Tactical Breach Wizards in how they mix the movie trailer guy voice with humor, and it is indeed that kind of comedy that will be the main appeal of this game. Sure, you have turn-based tactical RPG combat, in which your wizards with guns use their magical attacks to take out the enemies, but if the writing and humor holds up, this should be excellent and is one of my most anticipated titles of the year. Watch this video for more games to come in 2024.
The Necromedic, a surgeon who turned to necromancy when she lost her medical license. She